Thank you for being part of this journey. Celebrating 2 decades of Pacific stories. Brought to you by the Secretariat of the Pacific Community. Talofalava, hello Olgera, welcome to the Pacific Way. It's the 3rd largest island in Fiji and it boasts the largest forest reserve in the country. Taveuni, or better known as the Garden Island of Fiji, is one of only a few islands where the scale of negative land use impacts have been limited. The Secretariat of the Pacific Community, or SPC, and the Fiji government are now working to protect this reserve.
It's the 3rd largest island in Fiji, famous for its fertile volcanic soil and sought-after agricultural products such as taro and kava. Known as the Garden Island of Fiji, Taveuni lies about 7 kilometers off the southeast coast of Vanuatu, Fiji's 2nd largest island, and is 42 kilometers long and averages about 12 kilometers wide. Herein lies Fiji's largest forest reserve, which boasts various endangered species. Taveuni is a volcanic tropical island, thick with vegetation and dazzling with beauty. It is rugged, lush and pristine. The pristine rainforest covers much of the island, with around 80% of it protected under forest reserve. This forest reserve, or better known locally as the Blue Line, is the largest in Fiji, covering 27,530 acres of land.
There is more than 20 reserves in Fiji. In Taveuni there are 2 reserves. 100% of the land which is being reserved in Taveuni Forest Reserve native grant, which means that some of the chiefs back on those days did a good decision on giving the land to be reserved. Taveuni Forest Reserve and Ravilevu Nature Reserve is the largest reserve in Fiji, which means that there are a lot of biological significance or the biodiversity that needs to be conserved on this island.
The reserve offers enormous benefits to the communities. It generates a healthy ecosystem such as clean drinking water. Although the reserves offer a lot of benefits, much of Taveuni's land and forest has now been destroyed by deforestation, commercial and subsistence agriculture, or invasive alien species. This will have long-term impact on people's livelihoods.
Agricultural activities on Taveuni is basically since 1994 was specifically on the dalo production or taro production for the export market after we had taken over from Samoa after it was infested with this taro leaf blight. And then from then on we had moved and we have seen the negative implications of taro productions, especially on our environment.
We are standing at a spot called Wuniwai. One of the reasons why we erected boards like this is to show farmers that if they go beyond this board, they are entering reserve land, and forests here are protected.
For Taveuni, the focus is to protect the forest reserve by looking at what is happening outside the reserve. There has to be much more systematic and well-regulated development on land outside the reserve, which ensures sustainable agricultural practices, efficient organization, and appropriate long-term development planning to reduce the pressure to clear forests in the reserve.
The broad vision is like to undertake sustainable forest management for prosperity and for future generation. So the broad area is like, the main thing is sustainable forest management, and we are doing that for our future generation and to improve current livelihoods of people.
Without the reserves, there's a danger that the pristine and unique ecosystem of Taveuni will be destroyed by the encroaching commercial farming as in other parts of Fiji. This is a matter of national urgency. Current trends of widespread soil degradation and encroachment into the reserves indicate that the situation is changing for the worse. This encroachment is likely to continue unless local communities in Taveuni are aware of the benefits of protecting the forest and appropriate and effective measures are taken by relevant authorities.
The Taveuni Forest Reserve is currently being threatened by deforestation and degradation of forest from the demand of fertile agricultural land, and this is mainly for taro and kava production. So the result is a constant search for fertile land, and this has led increasingly to the clearing of areas of land in the reserve, and also there are situations where farming on steep slopes are very common.
Yes, I have seen the boundaries for the blue line. I am aware of the boundary and I have not cut any plants or trees in the reserve area. What I'm doing now is to continue to use land that have been used before, and my hope is to continue with this to safeguard the interest of our future generations.
Ando cha itu song-song di Farmers Club di Lingalongo. I'm the
president of Farmers Club here, and those interested to use this land. I assure you that they are nowhere near the restricted areas, but for those farmers that have never consulted me, they are the one that has moved close to the blue line. So I usually tell them that they are answerable to their own actions.
The expansion in commercial agriculture to meet the increasing demands has led to the increase in the number of farmers in Taveuni. Lack of application of sustainable agricultural practices has led to farmers encroaching into the outer limit of the reserve, known as the Blue Line.
The reason for moving into the blue line areas was just because so they can do away with the costs of agro inputs. From 42 to 88, that's a huge jump. And likewise, it was for the chemicals. But the price for fresh dalo was just constant.
There is a lot of people on the island now, and for us farmers, the further we move inland, the better our crop yields. While we are planting from this end, some have tendency of moving up because of rich soil minerals produce gundalo and yangona. But we are aware of the restrictions. Basically, the blue line is where we should stop.
The Secretariat of the Pacific Community, SPC, with the support of FAO through the GEF-PAS project on forest conservation and protected areas, is playing a major role in contributing to the sustainable land management in the Taveuni Forest Reserve margins.
SPC is contributing to the FAO Forest Conservation and Protected Area Management project, subcomponent on sustainable land management in Fiji's forest margins, and to implement activities that assist local communities use the forest and land resources sustainably, and to be able to reduce or reverse land degradation in the project sites.
As we know, Taveuni is isolated from the main island, and most of the people who reside here in Taveuni, they rely on the island for their livelihood. We have tourists. We have the market, Dalo market here in Taveuni. And with this land mass and the increase in population, the reserve is very important. Farmers in Taveuni need to be highlighted and empowered, that the connection of what's there in the forest will have an effect of their livelihood.
In October 2014, a team from the SPC, the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Forests, and the Dakandrove Provincial Office held consultations in villages on the importance of protecting the reserves and respecting its boundaries.
The aim of our consultation and community awareness is, first of all, we wanted to assess and map the current land use of farming practices within and also outside the reserve boundary, and also to discuss with the stakeholders and the communities on some of the issues they are facing in terms of sustainable land management of land, especially outside the forest reserve.
1914 and 1959 was back in the, I don't know if there's still some people those days are still alive today, and the message need to be passed down to the current generation. We have immigrants, we have new farmers, we have young farmers who are here. They are not aware of this, of the importance of reserve. So this is a good time to come and revisit and also refresh our young farmers who are here, and also business operators.
I feel that we are working against time in the protection of our species. I have seen firsthand the devastation we have created, especially in the mainland. I have seen its impact. That is why I am grateful for the government agencies that have met here today to discuss this. I feel that the only way we can do this is to have frequent visits and training, because the impact on the marine ecosystems is severe, and we need to educate ourselves on all levels, not only for Taveuni, but for the whole of Fiji.
Taveuni's relatively inaccessible mountains, pristine ecosystem, and abundant food supply has made it a haven for many of these species.
The serious issue is that, which I have noted myself, is like a lot of deforestation being done. We have less water on the island coming. The springs are getting dry, where we had a lot before when there was not logging, not deforestation done before. There has to be a balance of cutting things. If no, we'll have a very bad side effect of those.
The Taveuni Forest Reserve is the largest in Fiji and deserves serious attention to protect and preserve its endangered endemic plants and bird species. The onus lies on the people of Taveuni, and indeed of Fiji generally, to protect the reserve.
The Blue Line concept is good for us and for us in Vindawa. It has created a new source of revenue for tourists that would like to observe the wildlife, and it has generated interest from birdwatchers.
The sustainability of our natural resources will require a collective effort by villagers, landowners, and government. I believe this consultation has been indeed timely and is being held at a critical time when there's a lot of developments. The meeting with the villagers allowed us to listen to their views and we formulate necessary plans. The timing is indeed perfect.
SPC's Land Resources Division is also working with the Fiji Forestry Department, Agriculture, FAO, and the people of Taveuni to ensure the reserve is protected in whatever way possible. Preservation of the Taveuni Reserve is the key to a sustainable and ecologically healthy future. It is a model for the whole of Fiji and the Pacific as a whole to follow.
Welcome back. In the Pacific, ecosystems are the lifelines of economies and community well-being. In this next story, we take a trip to Abaiang Atoll in Kiribati to catch a sneak peek of the government's Whole of Island initiative. Working in partnership with the Secretariat of the Pacific Community and other stakeholders, this pilot project is supporting communities to manage their ecosystems and strengthen their resilience to the climate-related challenges they face.
When it comes to the impacts of climate variability and climate change, Kiribati ranks among the most vulnerable in the world. The government of Kiribati is working towards moving beyond project-by-project approaches towards a better coordinated and programmatic approach for the benefit of the Kiribati people. This initiative is known as the Whole of Island approach, and it is being piloted in Abaiang, an atoll located north of the capital, Tarawa. The coordination and implementation is supported by the Kiribati National Expert Group on Climate Change and Disaster Risk Management, KNEG.
So this Whole of Island approach, mainly what it does is gather all these projects or maybe these activities under one whole approach and then implement them fully on the one outer island first and then moving on to the next.
The Whole of Island team heading to Abaiang includes representatives from various ministries, including education, environment, lands and agricultural development, fisheries and marine resources, public works and utilities, as well as the Kiribati Meteorological Service. In Swarup village, work begins early. Here, SPC is supporting the Ministry of Environment, Lands and Agricultural Development with the implementation of a USAID-funded project that aims to enhance climate change resilience of land-based food production systems. Swarup is one of 3 villages selected by the Abaiang Island Council for this agricultural initiative. The demonstration site will be divided into 3. A nursery, a piggery, and this section is being marked out for agroforestry activities.
As we see now that most of the trees here, they are not bearing fruit. And we know that the climate change affects our plants. And we should make the awareness to the people. They should do something for their plants. We try to encourage them not to burn their organic matters, especially in the bush. And we try to tell them that a lot of good nutrients in that organic materials. Do not burn. Just mix it and for the compost, and you can improve your soil.
There are 12 projects funded by numerous donors being implemented under the Whole of Island approach. Each initiative, including the one in Swarup, is being guided by the Abaiang Island Council Strategic Action Plan 2014 to 2017. Water is the lifeline of any community, and Abaiang Atoll is fortunate to have an underground freshwater lens. But changing climatic conditions and increased demand and supply place enormous strain on what is a very limited resource.
Most of the wells that are visited are quite fresh, However, there are a lot of the wells, or most of the wells that are tested before are, contaminated with bacteria. And that's because most of the wells are open.
Approximately 40 wells were tested in each village. The results will determine how many tamana pumps or hand pumps will be installed in the villages selected under this project. In 2 locations on Abaiang, 55 teachers are learning how to use an innovative teaching resource called Learning About Climate Change the Pacific Way. This regional climate change toolkit was developed in collaboration with the SPC GIZ, SPREP, Australian Government, USAID, and other international agencies.
It's deliberately designed with the pictures to be used across subjects at any stages, and all the teaching activities are there with ideas about you could do it this way, talking and oral with your primary students, or you could extend it this way for your senior students.
The Kiribati Meteorological Service, working in partnership with SPC, GIZ and SPREP, also installed weather stations in 3 schools on Abaiang.
From the maths perspective, I think when the students be part of the monitoring, I think they can be more understand and know at the early stage what are the factors and the issues that Kiribati is facing in related to climate change.
My special thanks to the Excellency, the President of the town, and also with their cabinets to select the island of Abaiang to going to do the all island approach. Thank you very much for your supporting and your looking after Abaiang Island.
We've come to the end of our show, and I hope you've enjoyed tonight's stories. We'll leave you now with a performance from Hawaii, and remember, we'd love to hear your thoughts about the show or any of our stories. Check us out on Facebook and on YouTube. Until next time, Nisa Mode, looking you.
No luna ikale kai no kama aleva nana kama kaya moana nui kale huala no ike kai o mali uhe ikua ala kale hua ilai halai e ala ilai la ho ilai la ho o poe kale hua ki e lunalai maka u kale hua ike kanakalai lilo ai lalo e hele e ala ilalo ho ilalo ho
Thank you for being part of this journey. Celebrating 2 decades of Pacific stories. Brought to you by the Secretariat of the Pacific Community.